Today we're going to do measures of variation. This has to do with your box plot. You may have heard of box plot as box and whiskers. It's the same thing. They just modified the name a little bit, but it's, however, the same concept, your box plot and your box and whiskers. So this is part of your measures of variation. You're also going to learn about the 5-number summary that you need to create your box plot. Now, if you've never seen a box plot, something that looks similar to this. I know right now this looks like a bunch of nonsense, nothing's there, but this is actually, it's showing the percent coral reef that's covered. So if you notice how back in 1985, your box plot was leaning more to the right. And then as time went on, you see how it started going more and more to the left because more of the coral reef is being destroyed. The coral reef is being destroyed from the entertainment business. People go and they visit, tourism, and so on. And obviously this is just a picture of how a coral reef would look if you were unsure what we were talking about. And then this is another example of how they use box plots. So this is the box plot of age of World Cup teams. So this is for the Soccer World Cup. And then it gives the variation of how the teams are lined up in their ages. So we're going to discuss what each aspect of the box plot represents. I just wanted to show you a little bit how they're used. Now, you're going to see them more on state exams. When you take state exams, that's how they represent your score and the data they collected from the state exams. So you'll be able to distinguish what it's telling you. So your measures of variation, these are the vocabulary terms we're going to use. We're going to use the range. That's the difference between the greatest data value and the least data value. We're going to talk about the quartiles, are the values that divide the data into 4 equal parts. So they're being divided into 4 equal parts. Each part is representing 25%. Your lower quartile. So you might see the lower quartile, you might see first quartile is your Q1. This is the median of the lower half of the data. I'm going to show you how we get that. And so on your upper quartile, your third quartile, or your Q3. That's the median of the upper half of the data. And then you have your interquartile range, the difference of the upper quartile and the lower quartile, your Q1 minus your Q3. I'm sorry, Q3 minus Q1. Obviously, Q3 is going to be the bigger one, so you subtract from Q1, so you get your positive value. So the first thing we're going to discuss is the interquartile range. So the interquartile range, to find the interquartile range of the data set, we first have to find the quartiles. So first, they're just going to give you a bunch of numbers. Step 1 is you have to order the numbers from least to greatest. So I took these numbers and I ordered them from least to greatest. 1, 2, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, 8, 8, 9. Now they need to be in least to greatest so you can find the median. Then you could find your Q1, you could find your Q2. Your Q2 is the same thing as median. So that might be another way you might see it. Then you have your Q3. And then you also have your min and your max. And we'll discuss that in a second. Okay, so the black lines were already here to show you cross it out, but I'll just redo it again so in case you get stuck on how we did it. So you start with the first and last. Now you take the next two. First, last. First, last. First, last. Now I'm left with 2 in the middle. 5 and 5. Obviously, when I get the mean of those, because when you're left with 2 in the middle, you get the mean. So 5 plus 5 is 10 divided by 2. That gives you 5. So our median is 5. Now, since we see that our median is 5, the next important step is when you see this, it says if the median falls in between the 2 data values, so this is what that represents because it falls in between because there's 2. All of the values are still used to calculate the upper and lower quartiles. So I'm going to have to use all of the values to do Q1 and Q3. If the median falls exactly on one of the two data values, then the values is not used to calculate the upper and lower quartiles. I'm going to show you an example of that on the next slide. But that's the most important part. That's where a lot of people end up getting stuck. So when we do the interquartile range, this obviously has to go with creating our box and whiskers plot. So we find the upper and the lower quartiles. This is after you find the median. So the upper, remember, you might see Q3, Q1 is your lower. So find the median of each of the half a data set. So we already know, I'm just going to put those down. We already know the median is 5. So now I needed to find the median of the lower half. And now I include all the numbers. So cross out the first and last, first and last. So this leaves us with the lower quartile, your Q1. Do the same thing for the right side. So first, last, that leaves you with 8. So 8 is your Q3. That's your upper quartile. Now what I was talking about before is if it falls exactly on a number, let me show you. So let's say I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the first step is, are they in order? Yes. Now we find the median. So, first, last, and we're left with 4. 4 is our median. Or our Q2, however you see it. However you're going to see it. So this is the median. This is going to be the, sorry, that should be Q2. Now, in order to find Q1 and Q3, now I don't use the 4 in the middle because there was only one number in the middle. So I have to use the numbers before and the numbers after. So now to find the Q1, I cross out first, last. So this leaves us with 2 as our Q1. I'm not using the 4 anymore because that was the only number that was left as our median. If I had 2, it would be similar to the first example. So first, last, and 6 would be our Q3. So that's the difference if your median falls in between two numbers or if it falls exactly on that number. So if it falls between two numbers, you use every number. If it falls on exactly that number, you don't use that number. So now your interquartile range. Subtract the lower quartile from the upper quartile. So your upper quartile, which is your Q3, that was 8, and the lower quartile, which was 2. So 8 minus 2 gives us our 6. That's our interquartile range. So when we did it on the previous slide, you saw that our upper quartile was 8, our Q3. Our lower quartile was 2, our Q1. And when I subtract that, I get 6. So if they ask you for the interquartile range, that's going to be 6. Your interquartile is also seen as IQR. So over here is just our range. So in order to find the range, you subtract the least value from the greatest value. So when you have everything in order, it's a lot easier to distinguish which one's your smallest one, which one's your largest one. So it's your greatest value minus your least value. Another way you might see it is your range as your max minus your min. That gives us our range. So the range for this data set is 8, because we're going to do 8 minus 1. I'm sorry, when I do 9 minus 1, I get 8. Okay, so now we're going to see how all those values that we figured out is going to help us create our box and whiskers plot, or your box plot, however you may see it written. So this is what we call the 5-number summary, because there's 5 numbers. Your least value, remember, this is your min. Your lower quartile, this is your Q1. Your median, this is also your Q2. So you might see median or Q2. Your upper quartile, this is your Q3. And then your greatest value, this is your max. So these are the 5-number summary you need to create your box plot. Min, Q1, median, Q3, and max. So we're going to plot all of these on a number line. So let me go down here. Now your least value, that's the smallest one. So we know our minimum is 1. So you might see you might see one little dot, or you might see a little line. They're both the same thing. I'll use the little line. Now I put a little line there. Now at my lower quartile, my Q1, I'm going to put a longer line. So I have 2 as my Q1. Now also notice how my number line is going in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't just put my 5 numbers somewhere. I don't put 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9. You have to create the appropriate number line in order to represent the box plot. Now the next one is going to be our median, which is Q2. So our median, I'm going to put the same size line as I did for my Q1. Q3, same thing, same size line. Now Q1, your median, and Q3, this is what forms your rectangle. You connect it. Now your max is 9. So, and then I put a little line. I connect those lines to the end of the rectangle. So this is your min. This is your Q1. This is your median. This is your Q3. This is your max. So remember how we spoke about how the quartiles, they break it up into 25%, because they break it up into 4 equal parts. So that means from your minimum to your Q1, this has 25% of all the scores. So in all the numbers, from my minimum to my Q1, it has 25%. From Q1, you see, even though Q1 to the median is a lot larger, this has 25% of the data. From the median to Q3, this has 25%. And then from Q3 to the max, this has 25%. You see how it ends up equaling to 100%. So for instance, if there's a question that says how much percent of the data is from your minimum to your median, from min to median would be 50%, because it has both of those aspects. If they said from Q1 to max, how much percent? It would be from Q1 going all the way to our max, that's 75%, because it's 25% here, 25% there, and 25% there. So make sure you understand the question that they ask you. So that's how the quartiles break up the data. So there's 25% in each section. So from min to Q1 is 25, from Q1 to median is 25, median to Q3 25, and Q3 to max is 25. They may be distributed more widely, because as you notice, Q1 to median, that's a wider space. So they're distributed more widely than from our min to our Q1. You see how that's more closed off. So we're going to look at 2 more problems here. First thing we're going to do is list the 5-number summary for each, and then we're going to construct a box plot for each set of the data. So the first thing you need to do is find your 5-number summary. So this is the min. And then we have Q1, we have the median, we have Q3, and we have the max. First thing, make sure you go from least to greatest. If you're stuck on writing it from least to greatest, one process you can use is you start with the left. 12. Okay, so 12 is small, the smallest right now. 15, no, 12 is smaller. 9. Okay, 9 is the smallest. Okay, now I have 5 as the smallest. So 5, No, 5 is still smaller. 5, 5, 4. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So 4 is going to be my smallest number. So I have 4. I'll cross out the 4. So I don't use it anymore. And remember, I think I had one number that was a 5 somewhere. So 12, 15, 9, 5. Okay, 5, yes. But I want to make sure there aren't duplicates, because if there are, I need to copy those down as well. So my next one is going to be 5. I'll cross that out. Now I continue. 12, 15, okay, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8. Okay, so I have an 8. 8 is smaller than 9. So 8 would be my next. Now I know I had a 9. So the 8 was gone. Now I look at what's next. Now I recall having a 9. Yeah, so I have a 9. And I have another 9. So I got both 9s down. Now what's next? I have 12, 12, 12, 12. Okay, 10. 10, 10. So 10 looks to be like the smallest number. So 10 is gone. Now I have 11. 11 is going to be the smallest number. 11 is gone. Now I keep looking. Now I have 12. Okay, so 12 is right after 11. Yes. I have two 12s. So make sure you bring down both 12s. Then I have a 15, 15, 15. 15 is going to be the smallest one. Now I have 17, 16. Okay, 16 smaller, so 16 would be next. And 17, I know I had it right after it. And then my last one, I'm left with 20. And then count, just to make sure you got everything. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I should have 13 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13, so that helps me notice that I do have the numbers there. Okay, now once they're in least to greatest, so now I need to find the median. So I start off with the first number, gone. Last number, gone. Second, gone. Last, gone. Third one, gone. Last one, gone. 9, gone. 15. Another 9. 12. 10, gone. And my last 12 is there. So I'm left with 11 as my median. So 11 is going to be our median. So at median, I'm going to put 11. Obviously, min and max are the easiest one. I should have put those first. So my min is 4. My max is 20. Now Q1. So I need to cross out the numbers from the left side. Now the median, it landed on one specific number. So I need to use all of the data before it to get Q1. And then I need to use all the data after the median to get Q3. So cross out 4, cross out 10, cross out 5, cross out 9. So I'm left with 8 and 9. So when you're left with 2, get the mean of those. Add those together and then divide by 2. So I have 8 plus 9. I'll put it up here. 8 plus 9 divided by 2. This was our Q1. Now I do 8 plus 9 divided by 2. This gives us our 8.5. Because 8 plus 9 is 17. Divide that by 2. You get your 8.5. So this is 8. This is our Q1. 8.5. Now I'm going to do the upper quartile. So cross out 12, 20, first and last. 12, 17. Now I'm left with 15 and 16. Same thing. Add those two and then divide by 2. So my Q3 is 15 plus 16 divided by 2. And then after I do 15 plus 16 divided by 2, this gives us 15.5. So I have my 5-number summary. So I can plot my box plot now. When you create your number line, make sure you're staying consistent. I know my minimum is 4, my max is 20. So if I was to draw a number line, and I count by ones, I might not be able to fit it. Everything might be all bunched up together. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to count by twos. So I'll put the first number 2. I'll put 4, 6, 8. Try to space them apart evenly. 9. Whoa, sorry, I'm counting by twos. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. That should be a 22. So I could have fit more numbers as well. Or I could have made it a little wider and so on. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So we counted by twos to make sure we can get all the numbers and we can have a nice representation. So I start with my minimum. My minimum is 4. So at 4, I put a little line. Now Q1, that's your 8.5. So 8.5, in the middle between 8 and 10, I know is 9. So it has to be between 8 and 9. So 8.5 will be approximately there. Then I have the median, 11. 11 is going to be right between 10 and 12. Then I have 15.5 for Q3. So Q3 would be 15.5. So I know 14, 16, between is 15. So it's going to be between 15 and 16. Then I have my max as 20. So at 20, I have a little line. So remember, close off Q1, your median, and Q3. Create your rectangle. And then attach your min to the rectangle and your max to the rectangle. I'm just going to rewrite it up here. So this was our min. This was our Q1. This was our median. This is our Q3. And this is our max. Now that's your box plot. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. Once you get your 5-number summary, just plot it on your number line. As you notice on my number line, I didn't put only 4, 8.5, 11, 15.5, and 20. Because then it wouldn't be a consistent number line. You need to count by the same number. You need to go by the same intervals. So when we look at number 2, we're trying to get the 5-number summary. First thing, I want to order this from least to greatest. So I have 37. 37 is so far the smallest one. 24. 24, 24, 24. So 24 looks like it's going to be my smallest number. So I have 24. So 24 is gone. Now, 37, 25. 25 is next smallest number. So 25. Now I have 37. Looks like it's going to be 37. 37 is gone. Next one, 84, 70, 64, 93, 39. 39 is going to be the smallest one. Now after 39, 84, 70, 64 smaller, 93, 64, 64. Okay, 49. Now I have 84, 70, 64. 64 is the smallest so far. Okay, now I have 84, 70, 70. 70 was gone. Now I have 84, yes, 84, 82. So I'm up for 84 and 93. So 84 is smaller, and then 93. So again, count to make sure you got all the numbers. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there should be 10 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I got the numbers. Now the 5-number summary. So the minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and the max. Now, just by looking at this, I can tell my minimum is, yes, that's 24, because that's the smallest one, all the way on the left side. My max is going to be 93. Now, let's get the median. So, first, last, next two. So now for this one, I have 2 numbers left in the middle. So I need to get the median. In order to get the median, I have to do 49 plus 64, divide that by 2. Now remember, when you have 2 in the middle, you need to get the median of, get the mean of it, and then you're going to include all the other values. So when I do this, this gives us 56.5. So my median is 56.5. When the median falls in between 2 numbers, you need to make sure you use everything to the left now. I'm going to include the 49 to the left, and I'm going to include the 64 to the right. So now I'll cross them out. So let's see, 24, 49, gone. 25, 39, gone. So now I have 37. 37 is by itself, so this is just our Q1. Now, the upper quartile, the right side. So I have 64, 93, 70, 84, and I have 82 by itself. So this is my Q3. Now, when I do this box plot, so I have a large range of numbers. So this should be 82. I have a large range of numbers. On the previous one, they were a lot closer to each other. But now my minimum is 24 and my max is 93. So that one is a little more difficult to see. I can't count by 2s. I can't count by 1s. I can possibly go by 5s, but that looks like it's going to be all crumbled up together. So what I'm actually going to go by is 10. So I'm going to go by 10s. So let me see. Let me get my number line. So I'll start off with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Oh, I kind of messed up. Now I kind of messed up because I was leaving too much space between the 20 and the 30 and so on. Obviously, when you do it, yours could be a lot neater, but my minimum is 24. So that's somewhere in between 20 and 30, a little closer to the left side. My Q1 is 37. So at 37, you're going to put your first line. The next one is 56.5, so that should be somewhere around there. Then I have 82, So 82 is going to be a little past 80. Now I know I messed up with the 80, 90, and 100, but it should be somewhere around there, and your max is going to be 93. So it should look something similar to that. Now that's going to be our box plot. That included our 5-number summary and so on.